Hello, friend Mormo here, and I just recorded an ASMR, and it's all about healing, and it's really interesting, and I learned a lot, and now you're gonna learn, and just relax and chill. This is a really relaxed kind of video, and just please smash the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much. The secret of healing. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, full of grace and truth. Ever since the birth of the human race, there have been health and disease. Everywhere we find those who live at levels of comprehension that cannot express in flesh the perfect power of the Word, and these must be natural law, take on the form of whatever they have power to comprehend. Health is man's immortal birthright. It is the eternal in the universal plan, and it can be made to become eternal in the life of men in just the hour they understand the laws of their own being. There are two expressions of energy in the universe. One is called the constructive, the other the destructive. The one that builds up, the other tears down. This must forever be so, for only as matter is destroyed and passed back into energy can the energy pass out again into finer forms. Living in these great universal currents of construction and destruction, man relates himself constantly with one or both through the simple law of his own consciousness, and only as he learns the laws of his own being and consciously place himself in a position of power can he ever hope to escape the results which the negative, destructive currents produce in his body and his environment. Today we know that the world in which we live is nothing but a great sea of energy which, in the undifferentiated, is called God, and in the differentiated is called matter or form, or to make it more simple, we can call one thing the energy that creates, and the other thing created from and by this energy. Man and his environment are created by this energy. He is a localized center of force, and he becomes the expression and form of just whatever he relates with under the law of cosmic correspondence. We have found that this great energy is also intelligence and is nothing but mind with its various manifestations. We know today that the atoms of the atmosphere are intelligence, and as they touch one another throughout space, it is through this atomic mind that messages are carried and currents are generated which can heal patients at a distance. Everything in the universe is in a state of intelligent association, and when the atoms become expressed in human form, they pass into that expression of the universal mind known as human consciousness. All human life is simply different tastes of consciousness brought out by different vibratory rates to which our atoms respond. The physical body is composed of a group of atoms attuned to move at a certain vibratory rate, and within this physical body is another body of finer atoms attuned to a still higher vibration and in relationship with the higher electrical currents of the universe. There has not been much told about this finer body, but it is time the sick world knows this law of being, for it will be the position to control its own life. This finer body is the thought body or psychic body, and it is upon this that the physical body depends for its power, just as the very best instrument in the world depends upon the player for its expressed melody. All sight, all hearing, all functions is in this psychic body, not in the physical one. What many of the psychologists call the subconscious mind is only the registered intelligence of the psychic self. This psychic self is in direct communication with the cosmic self and with the physical self, and it is through this we become cosmic in our human consciousness. The psychic body manifests through idea centers in the human brain, and it is directly related with the cosmic currents throughout the solar plexus of the physical body. The higher concept centers of the mind are the switchboard where connections are made, and it is in this way that the psychic body registers its vibrations in the physical, and the physical registers in the psychic. There is a circle of consciousness established by the two minds. This would be of no particular value to us if it did not prove to us the source of disease, for when we look scientifically and psychologically at disease, we must see that it is simply disassociation between the psychic and the physical selves, and comes as the natural loss of poise, either physically, mentally, or psychically. Watching the play of human disease around us, we can soon see that there are two distinct ways by which disassociation of these selves begins. First, through the mind by negative thinking, and second, through the emotions by negative feeling. Our thoughts and our will are the great avenues by which we admit anything into our psychic self, and are also the means by which we exclude all things. The whole poise of the individual can be destroyed by thoughts of fear, hate, grief, and anger. Fright has killed, and all these states of emotion are simply grades of vibration, setting up inharmonious physical activity and leaving their corresponding effects upon the physical cells. It is known only too well today by those who seek to know that back of all such physical conditions is nervousness, prostration, temporary insanity, nervous disorders, pains resembling rheumatism, hay fever, heart troubles, mental symptoms, nervous chills, morbid forebodings, and mild mania. There lurks the abnormal activity of the psychic or thought body caused by thoughts and feelings acting abnormally upon the vital centers of the nervous system and mind. New Thought declares that all disease, except accidental wounds and fractures, begin in the psychic or thought body as energy and then are registered to the physical cells as organic or functional disease. We might follow this farther in order to satisfy science, but suffice it to go this far and then seek the value of knowing this. We can see that the only thing that naturally follows is the healer and the patient must be taught how to restore the lost equilibrium of the centers and again poise the life in a creative thought vibration. This is done simply and surely by teaching everyone the correct use of the idea centers of the human brain, and through this he is taught to form such thoughts and produce such ideas as will allow a normal amount of energy to register on both planes and not permit the physical mind to drive the human engine or to destruction in a wild waste and explosion of physical, mental, or psychical energy. This is not a long or wearisome task, for in the cortex of every brain there are distinct idea centers whose business it is to take up ideas built from thoughts, and will must follow the idea and be constantly selecting the thoughts which will produce harmonious vibrations within the psychic and physical selves. We join with the great creative energy of the universe, and it flows through us, healing and harmonizing every atom of our body. The very first step towards healing is to teach the patient to build for himself a health consciousness, and this is done by giving him the positive ideas of health instead of the negative ones of disease. We build for him the idea of health, hold it firmly in our minds, and project it into his idea centers until it registers in his psychic mind. Then this is followed by his own increased power of willing, and finally this passes into action and is registered in form. Ideation, willing, and doing is the great healthy trinity, and when this is produced, healing must follow. This is the law, and there is no appeal from it. When we first meet a diseased person, we find his field of consciousness full of all kinds of negative thoughts of disease, worry, fear, and anxiety. These have been persisted in so long that they have weakened both the idea centers and the power of willing. We at once create for him the positive idea motor form, and if his conscious mind is too weak to receive the impulse, we project it into his psychic mind, helping him hold on to the new idea until his own mind is able to grasp it and it becomes registered for him. After he has learned the truth of the abundance of health energy within and without, to be aroused into action by the simple law of his own thoughts and feelings, he sets to work to regenerate himself, and he finds that he can really breathe the breath of life into his own nostrils. After we have seen the scientific side of the real power of healing, then if we want to get health and keep it, we set about studying how to live our life so as to be able to generate thoughts and feelings at all times, which shall always move us at a creative health vibration. The very next thing for anyone seeking health is to get easy in his everyday life. No one can ever be well and live with every nerve on attention. We need to know the higher law of life that teaches us that no one put us anywhere but ourselves, that no one is to blame but ourselves for what we have or have not. We get and have in this world just what we have the power to relate with, and will get free from the thing we do not like in just the hour that we build something better for ourselves. All we need to do is to cease resisting conditions and agree that our adversary quickly. Freedom, liberty, and happiness are not things of the external world. They come from within, and we are sad or happy, bound or free, sick or well, not by our external but by our internal conditions. The sick, nervous, peevish, worry mind sees everything as positive to itself and must be taught that there is nothing in all the world that has any power over us, except that with which we endow it, and we must begin to live under this idea rather than the old foolish one of being controlled by every external condition. God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound mind. And with persistent thought culture, we can soon form a habit of thought and feeling that will build us away from our old consciousness of disease and pain into a higher law of health and strength. Good, positive, strong health thoughts are a certain preventative and cure for every kind of disease. Disease and health have absolutely no relation to each other. Disease is the expression of a faltering, undeveloped soul life, while health is the expression of a consciousness that has not broken its law of universal recognition. There are very good people who are sick and very many so-called bad folk who are well. Health is not bestowed as a reward of merit. It simply is by the natural universal law, and it exists for those who know how to fulfill the law within their own being. There are many so-called wicked people who live in greater harmony with their wickedness than some so-called Christians can ever do with their religion and goodness. Wholeness and holiness means simply harmony, and harmony inside and outside gives health. Anyone who has health has earned it by obeying the laws that produce it. Another great factor active in producing inharmonious vibrations and registering destructive energy is the old thought habit of living under the laws of opposites. Thinking thought of health today and of disease tomorrow, to be passing daily between hope and despair. This is sowing mixed thought seeds and cannot help bringing mixed vibrations. The path to a healthy consciousness is to get the strong positive idea of unity and live under the laws of similars. To begin at once to affirm union with all the health and strength of the universe and stick to it in the face of all the opposing negative thought vibrations generated within ourselves or thrown into our minds by others. This can be done by resolutely substituting a health thought for a diseased one. No matter how fast negative thoughts crowd in upon the mind, they can be antidoted by the strong positive affirmation of health. In order to register health vibrations, we must think, feel, and be health in mind. The words of health, peace, power, and strength do not unfold into radiant flesh and dwell among us through a faltering idea of fear, are vague perhaps, or I do not hope, I shall be well, or I want to get well, but it demands the eternal I am health now. Courage, zeal, and concentration to the laws of health and freedom from the law of death are not kindled by the halting consciousness full of the law of opposites, but they are the results of knowing and abiding. When we can, in very truth and full of believing, say to health, Thy kingdom come, it will come. Our daily thoughts then become the wires over which there passes into form a finer substance, and our body is rebuilt and fashioned from the indestructible substance of the universe. The mortal body as we know it in the old thought world is a thing of earth and lives and suffers earth's calamities, but through the understanding of this new thought union, it can be made to become a portion of the cause as indestructible as life itself, and live and glory and omnipotence. We are then in the resurrection of the life, and the Word that was with God and was God is made flesh to dwell among us in the glory and full of grace and truth. Then we know what Jesus meant when he said, I tell you of a truth, there be those standing among you who shall not taste death till they see the kingdom of God.